The mission of Open Doors Outdoors is to take veterans, their families, and young people into the outdoors for healthy activity, healing, and reconnection. And the reason why we do that is we've done it ourselves. I found myself in a very difficult position a few years ago and did just that. I would go into the outdoors often. I found that talking with people about different things that were going on and spending time with my children and focusing on them got me through one of the more challenging times in my life. And I thought that if it could work for me, it could work for anyone. Does it work for everyone? No, it doesn't. It's not possible, but it does work for some. And the some is what we hope to connect with through Open Doors. To be passionate about any mission, not only our mission, is, again, for me, it's something that I know works because it worked for me. I have an innate passion of the outdoors, and I love sharing the outdoors with people. Anyone that'll listen to me, I'll point out a bird or take them to a mountain or share an experience. I just love it. I don't know where it comes from. It's just something that I have, and I love sharing it. One of the most moving moments that I've experienced in Open Doors Outdoors is we did a youth group. We took a youth group out on a series of 3 hikes, and one of the young people that went on the first hike invited his father to go out on the second hike, and it turns out the father was a veteran. And the father, like most dads, works a lot and is involved with a lot of different stuff, and maybe didn't have the opportunity to spend as much one-on-one time with his son. And to see them interacting was very special. When it came time for the last hike, the same father came along and had a great time, and to see again how setting up a hike with a church would initiate a child to invite his father, and then that father to actually heed that call and go out on the hike, and then to be involved. And the next thing is actually we're going to do a small group hike with just that father and that son and my son, and it's kind of neat. That's Open Doors Outdoors. It's again just getting families together and to see that happen, and then to have the mom come up and say how happy she was that both her her husband and her son are involved. And it's neat. It's neat when you see that, and to have it to be where it's actually a veteran and that child is priceless. On the website we talk about the bridge. The bridge is actually located in South Glastonbury, Connecticut. It goes from a small little village that's bustling and busy, and you go over this bridge and then you end up back in time. It's where all the farmers are and all the tobacco fields, and it's the loading docks from the colonial days. It's this amazing experience that when I first moved to South Glastonbury, one of the farmers told me, when you cross that bridge, something special happens, and it does. Every time you cross that bridge, it's set up in such a way that you have to slow down, you have to look around, and what happens to each individual when they cross the bridge is completely different. But the most evident thing that I see is you may take a Marine or any veteran that's used to kind of keeping stuff inside, and when you start climbing that mountain and you start stressing and straining under the climb, and you're feeling it inside, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe, or this is very hard, but you don't want to show it. You got that pride, you got that pride of someone that has been taught to never show any pain or fear, and eventually you got to stop and you got to breathe, and your pride comes down and you start chatting, and before you know, after a few hikes, this guy that maybe was a little quiet in the beginning, or this girl that was a little quiet in the beginning, they just naturally start talking. And it's sometimes not in-depth conversations. It's not about life-changing things. Sometimes it's just about their family or their service, where they went, what they did, and it's such a change. And inside I'm laughing because I know what's going on. It's so subtle for them. They don't know. They don't know they're gabbing for like 3 or 4 hours straight, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But to them, it's natural. It's just this natural going across a bridge, and it's subtle and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. We come across veterans that honestly don't want to hike. They don't want to get outside. They don't want to do anything. They're in such a place in their life that they just can't get out. It's not that anything's holding them back other than things on the inside. So we always say the same thing. We say, hey, listen, we start off with a very very small hike. We're not starting off in the White Mountains. We're starting off on something small and local, and really it's just a time to get out and get to know each other. We're not looking to set any records. It's just logistics. It's just figuring out how we can, get you from point A to point B, and then, where are you at physically? What do you need? Do you lack any equipment? And then we sit down after we have a meal, and really what we provide is transportation, a guide, and a meal. And that's what anyone that donates to Open Doors Outdoors, that's what they're giving a veteran. They're giving a veteran the opportunity to get out, to spend time with someone, whether in a small group or one-on-one, and then we sit down and have a meal after. And it could be at Subway, it could be at a restaurant, it doesn't matter. It's just getting out and kind of breaking bread and talking about what happened after. But some veterans don't want to be in a group. They don't want to be with other people. And that's the beauty of it, is we can manage the one, or we can manage a large youth group of 25 people. It just comes down to customizing what each individual needs. So whatever they need, some of them are the opposite. They want to make sure there's a big group. They want to maybe hide within the ranks of a bunch of other people, so they can kind of figure out as they go, kind of secretly. Best thing, as I said earlier, are unrestricted donations. That's when we can say, hey, this person needs to go on a hike, but really they need a pair of shoes, or they need a warmer jacket, or they need a gas card just to help them get to work, or we don't know what they need until we meet them. So what people can do is they can donate just to Open Doors Outdoors. If there's a little more concern about where their money's going, they can sponsor a veteran for 4 hikes, and 4 hikes come out to be over $1,000, from the first hike to the final 4th hike, climbing Mount Washington with an overnight. So there's a lot of variety that they can do, but really it just comes down to whatever that donor may want to do, and they can be very specific. We're planning next year. We're planning a hike where we want to take 6 female veterans to Sequoia National Park and climb Half Dome, and that includes airfare, food, housing, everything they're going to need for that 4 or 5 day trip. Including all the volunteers and everyone to go along. So they can sponsor a specific trip. A company can sponsor a mountain, like True North did. They were so gracious about sponsoring that, getting that one veteran to the top of Mount Whitney, where we could fly our flag and their flag. So there's really no limits when it comes to a nonprofit organization. It's just either let us know what you want to do with your funds, or just trust that they're going to be used for the benefit of those we serve.